to meet Carlos a year ago when he was visiting. He's a frequent visitor here in London. Carlos is a leading practitioner, both professional and educator in his home country, and has come this evening to lecture on the topic of, in part, the relationship between education and practice in his home country. And he's going to be showing this evening a video that his university in Buenos Aires has made, which will show some of the leading work of architects that I think a lot of you are familiar with, people like Clorindo Testa, including his own work, Carlos Libedinsky's own work. His practice is an extensive one in Argentina. He's built throughout the country both public and professional works. Carlos is a former director of the Garbage Housing Investigation Project, former director of that at his university, where he's a professor of ecology and architecture, and he's presently the director of postgraduate studies at the University in Buenos Aires. Please join me in welcoming Carlos Libedinsky.
Thank you, Brett. Being South American, I love exaggeration. And, well, I will speak about the architecture that we do, the professors of our School of Architecture. And that means speaking about the architecture of Buenos Aires and its surroundings, because it's the policy of our school that the design teachers must be doers more than thinkers. So a big amount of work in our main city, Buenos Aires, is done by the professors of design of our school. At first, I was going to speak about garbage housing and ecology of architecture, that are the subjects in which I am involved for many years. But afterwards, our dean suggested me to speak about our work. That is because our work is rather unknown. It's rather well known, the work of Argentine architects, but the ones that live out of our country, such as Cesar Pelli or Rafael Vignoli. But he thought that it would be a good opportunity. And we selected only the offices. The buildings were selected by the architects themselves. And that is not the selection I would do it, because the projects, they are neither the most creative nor the more provocative or important of the respective architects. But perhaps they are the projects that they like best, or perhaps the projects that they think that are not known enough. And what is interesting, I think, is that all the projects in a whole show the main trends that are happening in our country. And those trends are, first, the appearance of very huge free-standing buildings. Buenos Aires was a city with a very strict building code, with an average height of about 10 or 12 stories. But in the last years appeared foreign investors who bought bigger plots, and our county council gave exceptions that allowed to build high freestanding towers, and the architects are deeply concerned with the skyline of the city that now is changing. And second is the interest of the big companies to move from the city, their headquarters, from the city to the outskirts. Perhaps because of the high rents, but the fact is that they are building new headquarters in the outskirts. The third is the interest in recycling the obsolete buildings when they are placed in interesting locations. And the fourth is the appearance of a new trend of building multi-use buildings that house offices, apartments, cinemas, shops, all together within one same enclosure. The buildings that will be shown could be in any part of the world, I think. That is because we don't have a solid, strong architectural tradition. We used to be in Buenos Aires a poor city. The wealth was not in Buenos Aires, it was only the harbor, was in the provinces where the golden mines and the copper mines were placed, and the architecture done by architects were in the province capitals. And besides that, we are a European settlers society, so it's very difficult to look for our roots, being most of all a bit stranger foreigners in our country. It's interesting to say, first of all, that our city is planned in the traditional Spanish colonial way of grid, and divided into small plots of about 10 meters wide. And I think that the best thing we can do from now onwards is to see the video that was done by the media department of our school, and I will try to keep pace with the images. So please, Joe. This is Clorindo Testa. He is a rather well-known architect in our country, and in this building is mainly the intention of reproduce the way of living of the suburban houses in an apartment building. For that reason, he built two different structures. One in the front of the building that is hollow, another one in the back of the building that is solid. The first one containing gardens, suspended gardens with little bathing pools and plants and everything, and in the back another solid block containing the maisonettes. So from the street the building can see as a hollow building wedged between two solid buildings that are the rest of the buildings in Buenos Aires. And this here is a window of an unusual shape, because for Clorindo Testa a window is just, unless it has a very interesting view. Can we make a pause, please? Unless it has a very interesting view, it's just light source. Please carry on. Some of the shapes are almost sculptural. This is in fact a multi-purpose hall. So for this reason it has to be a neutral appearance, because it could be a temple of any religion or a meeting hall or a concert hall. And it has two main rooms, the concert hall and the entrance hall, that are enclosed in one concrete skin. And they have many small structures, metal structures surrounding the building, so like that plant holder or those strange fences that have artistic sculptural shapes. For can you pause for a second? That are for linking the very solid and big main building with the surrounding houses of the neighborhood that are small, modest houses. And the big concrete mass have some concrete tentacles. Can we carry on? Some tentacles like this one, in the shape of a bridge, containing the cooling tower and serving as a roof of the fire stairs. For Clorindo Testa, as usual, the windows are just shapes that must have an interesting drawing of its perimeter. And this is the fence of sculptural shapes. In this point, the building touches the front line, and it generates a courtyard in the corner. This canopy is a metal canopy. Can you pause for a second? In the same language than the plant holders that are now without plants because the building is recently completed. And here is, can we carry on please? And this is the interior. Those strange shapes have acoustical reasons and are done of foam and covered with carpet. This is Mario Roberto Alvarez. This is a very experienced architect. He is right now about 83 years old, and he was involved from the beginning, and it means 60 years ago, in the modern movement. The main problem of this building, office building, is to link the two different heights of the tops of the buildings neighboring it. And they did it the way that you can see. For Mario Roberto Alvarez, the office buildings must have balconies. He thinks that a balcony is always a good place for a break when you are working, and they keeps out the sun and protects the windows from the aggressive combination of wind and rain. In this case, they serve as well as path leading to the fire staircase that is in the back of the building. The L-shaped building generates a garden in the back that contains very interesting trees, very old trees. It is this building, here is the garden. Those trees are very, very old. One of them is about 100 years old and is facing the very significant park that is the Plaza San Martin. Here you can see the way in which he linked the two different heights of the streets. Mario Roberto Alvarez is an architect that has an answer for each problem. Sometimes he has a wide plot like this one, and he always does the same scheme. Two buildings of the same height of the neighboring ones, and the tower within them in the same language than the side buildings. That way, all the development is linked with the surroundings. These tanks are always the same water tanks, and the windows are exactly the same, not exactly the same. He's improving always the same details. It is interesting to see the contrast between Clorindo Testa, that is mainly an artist, and Mario Roberto Alvarez, who always does about the same schemes. For instance, the three buildings are generating an interesting courtyard with drive-in and a manicured garden in the middle with a fountain. He is beloved by the investors because always his buildings are within the original budget. He has his own answer for balconies, his answer for balustrades, etc. And here you can see what I was speaking about a few minutes ago, the freestanding tower modifying the skyline of Buenos Aires. This is another case of a freestanding building of Mario Roberto Alvarez. As you can see, in the upper floors, the balconies are looking forward, and in the lower levels are looking backwards. It is because of the noise of the street, and in the backwards, the building has a very nice garden. Can you stop for some seconds? I have to breathe and to drink a glass of water. I speak English very slowly, and the video goes very fast. In this case, can we carry on? This case is exactly the same, but that was in a special location. This tower could be placed just facing a very beautiful street called Parera from the bottom of it. So Mario Roberto Alvarez only did one of the side buildings, and in the other side he did a surface treatment of the party wall of his neighbor. Here is the very posh street Alvear, and this is the elegant canopy linking, in other cases, the three buildings. In this particular case, only two buildings. The rest of the details are almost the same as in the other building, and here you can see from the Parera Street the high volume of the tower. This is an office that did a very important work in Buenos Aires. This is one tower that is nicknamed the Curler and is something like a landmark in Buenos Aires because it marks one of the sides of the entrance from the motorway. The County Council did 2 exceptions to the building code, and for the 2 towers at the sides of the main entrance. This building was very good as a landmark building, but was not as good as an office building because it remained unlet for more than 3 years. It was because 5 years ago was difficult to furnish with right-angle furniture this round-shaped building that had a round core as well. Later on, with the fashion of the open plan offices, the matter was solved and was let. Here you can see the influence of Aldo Rossi, who worked with Solsona in the teaching of alternative school called the Little School, La Escuelita. This is a very important building that won that was a national competition and won the first prize, and with a very complicated program that I know very well because I participated in that competition, winning the 3rd prize. He solved the complicated brief housing all the industrial union headquarters in the podium and all the offices to let and the rest of the other parts of the buildings in a very high vertical block that can be seen. And this building, well, this is a fire staircase that was added afterwards because it is an imposition of, it's a new imposition. Here you can see this stair that is very steep, and you can see the poor handicapped man with very big difficulties to climb up the stairs. And here you can see the busy street Alem where it is placed, and a courtyard generated by this building and the next one. And this is the last development of that office that is nicknamed the Twin Towers, and well, they are twin towers, and they have a very complicated shape because the brief was very complicated as well because it contained lots of different sizes and types of apartments derived of the marketing, and the investors believed in marketing faithfully. And it was done with a very tight budget, so some of the details are rather crude. But the office have a deep concern with the skyline of the building, not only in the crowning, but as you can see in the edges of the building. Let us speak of Solsona as a teacher. All the architects that are shown in this video were teachers of our school when our school was controlled by the military government, and we all resigned, and Solsona as well. But he continued teaching in that alternative school called La Escuelita. So he is a real genuine teacher, and his office had always a great influence in Argentine architecture. I was partner of that office many years ago at the beginnings of my career, and the so well-known architect Rafael Vignoli was also partner of this office. Here you can see the crowning with very well-detailed lighting and in the shape of a skyscraper. Berdichevsky, Bernadone, and Czerny is another office. It's the office that most competitions won in the last years. Here is one example of very important companies who had the headquarters in the city and were moved to the outskirts. Berdichevsky thinks, as Mario Roberto Alvarez, the balconies are a good place for a break, and they are good for the weather control as well. The building has a very fine detailing. He is very concerned with the problem of natural lighting. Many years ago, it was good that an office building had a lot of light, but now with the computer's work, is desirable another kind of light, and even dim light, and there's and this office is deeply concerned in this problem here, not because these windows are facing the south, that means facing the north in this country, but in the other facades you can see a well-detailed window. In contrast with this office building, this is an apartment building that is in which nothing has anything to do with anything. For instance, those well-detailed windows contrast with the ducts of this barbecue that are just pipes. The barbecue is a very important device in our country because our regional food is the asado, so it's a very important device. Here you can see, for instance, 3 different balconies, the 3 with different balustrades. One with a very elemental structure, the other with a very sophisticated hanging one. This window that is very crude, almost stupid, contrasting with the very sophisticated ones that are in the upper side of the building containing 2 maisonettes. But this building is harmonious in the whole, and all this patchwork is done on purpose to link the building with the surrounding low middle class houses that were done in stages with different techniques and different materials. The building is recently completed. It will be full of bushes, plants and trees as the surrounding modest houses. This one is for my test, the masterpiece of this office. Are the headquarters of an oil company, and they were done with a very loose budget. It is reminiscent of a boat, on purpose, of course, because it is overlooking the River Plate. The balustrades have a reminiscence of a boat as well, and here you can see the same care in the detailing of the light. This vertical block houses the services of the building, and the vertical block houses the main offices and a research laboratory as well. The vertical circulation is in the front of the building with magnificent views to the River Plate and to the garden. That is a terrace. This office looked for special places for leisure in this building that was done mainly to work, but leisure places were sought specially. This is a night view of the building, and this last, well, here you can see the very clever play of volumes over the entrance hall of the building. And this is the building that is in a sight from a view from the street. This is the name of the oil company, Capsa and Capex. It's an almost unknown company, and this is a computer drawing that was presented to the owners before the building was done, and it's very similar to the building constructed. And this is another important office in Buenos Aires. They were commissioned to build a chain of supermarkets. The first task was to find a corporative image, and they choose the brick for the walls, because brickwork is very well done in our countries. Bricks are rather cheap, and workmanship is good quality and not expensive. And the volume is a very big concrete volume surrounded by a skin of brick walls, but for dematerialize the volume, always the edges of the walls can be seen. And here you can see as well a big hole leading to the loading yard of the supermarket. Let's speak of Duhovne. Architect Duhovne now is the dean of our school. And to be dean in our school is not only an academical job, but it is political as well, because deans in our School of Architecture are elected by professors, pupils and graduates. And Professor Duhovne was elected by unanimity for the first time in 20 years, and he's taking advantage of that consensus and is improving our school. This is a very interesting building. Well, there are, in fact, I will show you 3 different buildings over the same plot. In Buenos Aires, there were obsolete warehouses that were built by the English in the turn of the century, were obsolete the warehouses, and were obsolete the embankments that were beside them. And we will be able to see three different answers for almost the same briefs. In this case, the building was almost destroyed because a motorway was going to pass through the building. So the architects took advantage of that fact, and they built a new and almost completely new building for the offices with new fenestration, and they left almost untouched the old brick walls, altering only the shape of the windows. So here you can see the apartments, and besides the offices that with different exterior appearance. Offices and apartments have different entrance halls, and that can be seen by the canopies that were built in the outside of the building. And that is the original shape of the building, with its bolts and its loading platforms. All the buildings are located, well, here is a night view, and you can see all the dock buildings and the rear plate in the background. This is another office of our city. All of them are professors in our school. In contrast, this building was in perfect conditions, with its cranes in working order, and it has all the loading platforms, and the walls were in good condition. The architects took advantage of that fact, and they used the shape of the cranes as a leitmotif of the metal small structures, such as the canopy in the entrance. As all those buildings are very wide, all of the architects, here you can see the rainwater pipes that were left untouched. And the loading platforms were converted into balconies with this balustrade. Here is a restaurant that is in the ground level of the building, because as I said before, is a multi-use building, and this the entrance hall of the same building. This is the facade overlooking the embankment, and was left untouched unless they did with cast iron brackets. They built a big balcony, and in the upper levels they left the loading platforms that were converted into balconies in the same way they did in the other side. May we make a pause, please, Joe? Could you carry on, please? In this side, this metal structure is full of windows. Is to link, can you stop again, excuse me? Is to link, well, in this case is the same. Is in in between all the buildings are in one line, and between the buildings there are yards, and all of the designers wanted to link the inside of the buildings with the yards that were generated by the two buildings. Carry on, please. In this case, the elevations were completely destroyed. So the architects built another new elevation that is with stepped new balconies and is done in concrete. In the lower level are, as in all the rest of the buildings, shops and restaurants, and in this case is a cinema. The other three sides of the building were disguised with what? In the top of the building is a multi-purpose gallery that is the only thing that they could add to the building, light structure. And in the middle of the building they did a hole in the shape of a light well with balconies and bridges and holes that with an interesting play of volumes, and with some palm trees that now are very small, perhaps someday. And the other three sides are disguised by these thick hollowed planes of concrete. This is a very busy street where the entrance are placed, and in the other side of the building, overlooking the embankment, is a very wide promenade with the cafes and restaurants and all this kind of shops. This is the promenade at the side of the embankment. Three different buildings with one same brief. And this is a very small, humble building that shows what can be done with a very tight budget, with very simple means and in a very narrow plot. It consists of only 5 maisonettes, 4 in the first and second level and 1 in the upper level. And the main features are the stepped windows that we will see afterwards from the inside. Here is the modest entrance hall, and here is the double apartment from the interior, and here's what the other feature are the concrete barge-shaped balconies. I don't know, frankly speaking, can you stop for a while? Why the upper balcony is not united, because it is only one maisonette. And of course I left the best for the last. Of course it's a joke. They are my own buildings. Okay, carry on, please. Well, this is a building in Punta del Este. It's a vacation resort in Uruguay, but near Buenos Aires. And this valley hides a swimming pool protected of the winds. And this is a tennis court that is close linked to the house. This is the interior of the house. The the dining room, the living room, and in the mezzanine, billiards room connected with the landing of the staircase. As you can see, the owner was a painting collector. There are very important paintings. Here is the entrance door that is just below the landing of the staircase. That window is very interesting because it can be opened completely. It was very important that to have a cross ventilation because it was a house that was to be used in summer. This is the other side of the house, and that window can be opened completely as well. Here is a view from the billiards room, and there is the landing and the staircase leading to the upper floor where are located the bedrooms. This is the huge bedroom for the owner with a huge bathtub overlooking the beach and the river and the Botero. Can you stop for a second, please? Well, in the brief it was written by the owner that in life he was interested in only two things: tennis and sex, in that precise order. And that is the reason of the link between the tennis court and the size of the bedroom. And here is a view of the house from the sea, almost from the sea, and you can see that the existing vegetation was left untouched. Can we carry on? Well, this is another building in Punta del Este in a place whose name is José Ignacio. Could you stop for a minute, please? Here are huge stones, but are huge rolling stones. They do not emerge from the earth. That is a very particular place. And they produce in the people near them a scale crisis, like being ants beside pebbles, and being such an interesting point and touch point, all the ecological considerations were extremed. Can we carry on, please? The house was done of stone in the same range of colors of the existing rocks, and all the windows and balustrades and this this structure was done in soft woods with a chemical treatment, and the cladding is of here these are stone made, solid. They are solid stone walls, and well, this is a usual visitor of the garden because the ecosystem of the place is absolutely unpolluted. Can you stop for a second? That is a huge animal. It's a sea lion. It's about 2 meters high. It's huge. It's and sometimes are penguins, and sometimes well, many wild animals that I don't know the name in English. Excuse me. Could we carry on, please? And this is the interior of the house with the natural rocks that were left untouched emerging from the floor, and the rest of the floor is covered with broken stones. This is a view from the street, and of course the house has cross ventilation, and this flat roof, can you stop for a second please? That flat roof yes, hides a water tank, because at the beginning there was no water from the mains, and the pitched roof hides solar panels for heating the house and for warming the water. Could we carry on? And this is an apartment building that is located in a very significant place of Buenos Aires, because it's facing the replica of the house where our national hero José San Martín died in France, and is next to a park with huge trees. The main feature of the building are the balustrades. I will speak later on about them. All the building was raised above the ground level, allowing the park to enter below the building. This is the entrance drive-in, the entrance hall here, and this is a drum containing a lift for the cars and linking the ground floor with the garage that is in the basement. Here is a glazed tunnel linking the entrance hall with this winter garden that is in the back side of the building. And here we can see the top level of the building that is cladded with tiles. And some walls are bare because we are changing the tiles. Can you stop for a second, please? The original design was to be cladded with metal sheets, stainless steel sheets, like a coat of armor. But afterwards, for budget reasons, we changed for tiles. But now, many years after the building was completed, we are changing again. Could we carry on, please? We are recladding with the original material. These balustrades are a real balustrade that are covering the edge of the slab, are a balustrade for the upper for the apartment over the slab, and are a sun filter for the other apartment. Can you stop for a while, please? It is important to know, because everybody speaks about the ozone hole, but the ozone hole is over our country. We don't speak about the ozone hole. We have it. When you see a satellite picture of the planet, is like a blue round ball with a hole, and through the hole you can see a map, and the map you see Antarctica, Chile and Argentina. So we have a deep concern with this problem, and that is the reason of that balustrades. Carry on, please. That are transparent are glazed balconies that are transparent from the inside and are like mirrors from the outside. And well, then we finished with these last views of the waves of the building reflecting the different skies of Buenos Aires, sometimes blue, sometimes gray, and the interesting trees of the park next to it. And well, that is it. Thank you for listening to me. And that's all.
A couple of questions? Anybody has questions?
Yes, if somebody wants to ask me some question, and it's up to you. If you are interested, I can show one more building in slides. The building, I think, is rather interesting, but what is more interesting of all is that it's a house, a very simple house, placed in a village that was untouched for, it used to be 200 years ago, and now was completely destroyed, all the village, but the house that I did that was done of concrete, and the village disappeared, and well, they will rebuild the village, they will build a new road, and of course that village never will be what it used to be, an untouched village with a regional construction. So if it's up to you, if you are not tired, if we can, because now I think that is now it is a historical item because of the city. Santo Domingo, República Dominicana. This is Dominican Republic. This is the street where this now doesn't exist anymore. Neither the houses nor the vegetation. This is the main street of the village, and this is the house that I built. This is another street. Most of the houses, like this one, were built of interwoven branches because, well, so that the air could flow into the house. The next, please. This is real estate. Se vende, for sale, 2 languages. This is a house. From my house to my house, it says. The next. All the village was full of kids, and they don't know who their parents are. But all the grown-up people takes care of the children. Beautiful half-breed children. The next. More children. The next. These children, this boy playing baseball, and this one with a very sporting clothes. More children. The children in the bar. Of course, the houses don't have bathrooms, and they are bathing. And this is the grocery store. Think that the village don't have electricity, but always you can hear very loud music from this from these loudspeakers, always bachatas and merengues. Of course, the village doesn't have cars. When you have to make a long trip, you use this vehicle. Next, please. This is the interior of the grocery store. This is the saleswoman. And these are the children that are listening the loudspeaker. The loudspeaker was very loud, but they have to be close to the loudspeaker. The next, please. This is the school. The next. This is another street. This is the church. The next. And when they have time, they dance. And as they don't do anything, some of them are bricklayers and they work in Casa de Campo, that is a millionaires country club that is across the river. But all the others fish sometimes, and sometimes collect fruits of the wild trees. But most of the time they dance. And they gathered to dance. This is the major of the village. And this is the pub. And this is the cockfighting ring, that of course it is forbidden, but as there is not police, the amusement of the village is the cockfighting. That is terrible, it's impossible to see, it's cruel. The next, please. And this was the plot before I built the house. This one was the existing house before I built the new one. And this is the plan of the house. It's very simple. This is a very huge, very big room that is actually a gallery, because the owner is an artist. The kitchen, the dining room, and the studio. And in the upper floors are the bedrooms, and here is a loggia, and there's another loggia overlooking the Chabón River. The next, please. And this is the house behind those beautiful palm trees that they don't exist anymore, and this is the Chabón River. This is the entrance that uses regularly the owner, because the owner has his motorboat and can go to the city by car, crossing across the Casa de Campo Country Club, of which he is member. This is not the last one. This is the house seen from the street. Well, this is the transport of the village. And this is the main entrance from the bank of the. This is not the last one. And what happens with the light? Can you turn the light off, please? this is the staircase from the bank. The next. The staircase 2. The next. This the garden that cannot have grass because sometimes the river grows and floods all this part of the garden. The next. And this is a grave that, of course, is a very old grave, more than 200 years old. And they will left it out of the plot. In fact, it actually was inside. The next, please. This is the interior. This is the gallery because the owner is an artist. He is the dean of of a school of design. Which is the name of the school of design? It's the American, a very important Parsons School of Design in the Dominican Republic. And here is the studio of the artist, and here is the staircase leading to the upper level where the bedrooms are. The next, please. Well, this is the gallery. The next, other views of the galleries. The next, the staircase. The next, this is a balcony overlooking the gallery. The next, the staircase again. The next, and this is the bedroom with the bed done by the own hands of the owner. The next, please. This is the loggia overlooking the mouth of the river with a spectacular or overwhelming look over the mouth of the river. The next, please. The same, the next. And this is a general view of the house from the middle of the river, and here are the boats of the fishermen. And here is the path that leads to the main street of the village. The next. And here you can see the fishermen and the house. Now this house and this restaurant that were done in concrete are the only houses remaining in that village. In this house, all the ecological considerations were taken. The flood were taken. The flood roof is actually a rainwater tank, and a big battery of solar panels are placed in this other roof for heating the water and for generating electricity. That's all. Thank you very much. Wow.
Can we take some questions if people are interested? If anybody's interested in questions, does anyone have? Okay, I think we'll stop there. Thank you, fellas. Thanks very much.
No, perhaps because of my English, they didn't understand anything.
No, they didn't.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.